Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Ask Brien radio show, and you just heard our theme song that I guess Rocky tried to use, but they don't realize this is our theme song, the Ask Brien show, and Brien is with an E. I don't know why people spell it with an A or Y-A-N, but that's the way it's spelled. And we're here live. My co-host Patty. Patty, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
You have a good week?
Good week. It's been a busy week. Crazy busy.
Weeks go by fast. Time goes by fast, doesn't it?
It is Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, every day should be the Ask Brien show, though. So.
Someday.
And I don't know. So, Mr. Engineer, what's going on with your hair? You got a haircut. I know. It's unbelievable.
I did a little bit. I honestly,
that's not a little haircut. That's a big haircut.
it was a big one. It was a long time coming, though. I got to that point where it's like the first morning where it's like I either have to get a blow dry or a haircut. So I went with
It
the
looks
haircut.
nice. Don't let them give you any.
I don't know. When I grew up on the East Coast where it was cold, you would never get a haircut this time of year because you're trying to protect yourself from the frigid air.
I definitely was getting a little bit of that this morning. And where all of a sudden it was way colder, so I lost my little natural
A
earmuffs.
little wind in the neck area. It's like, wait a minute.
Do you know the story about Samsonite when he lost his hair, right?
Yes, he lost quite a bit more, I believe.
And what happened to him? He lost his strength.
Yeah.
So does that mean you're not going to be strong anymore?
I'm stronger, actually. Faster, better,
There you go.
You sound like the $6 million man.
Exactly. My hair's weighing me down.
All right, so we have a great show. But before we get any further, some people have not actually been to the Ask Brien site. I'm surprised, shocked, and upset, but whatever. So the Ask Brien site is ASKBRIEN, and we have a radio show every week. And what we try to do on this radio show is to educate our listeners. So hopefully you can get something out of it. We want you to learn something every show. We've had people from Facebook experts, Google experts, website developers, other business owners, other startup founders, other people that have created big, huge companies have been on our show, and that's what we try to do. We try to give you some information, enough information that you can be helped out, and that somewhere in the long line of things that you're going to be able to use the information that we provide. But the Ask Brien website itself is basically a site for business owners of any size. You can be a startup, you can be thinking about building a business, or you can actually have a business. You can be a medium-sized business, but basically if you have a business problem, you've got a community that can answer questions, professors that can answer questions, experts that can answer questions, along with videos and these podcasts and YouTube videos whereby you can learn about any business subject. So if you got a business problem, you can go to Ask Brien. Our site is under redevelopment in the sense that we are revising it and should be up and running within the next 30 days. We're also been invited and selected to a couple of startup conferences. Startup Grind in Redwood City will be in April. We'll be attending that and exhibit our wares there. And we also have Collision, which is part of the Web Summit program in New Orleans, and that'll be in the beginning of May. So
Got some cool stuff happening.
we got some cool stuff coming, and
That's great.
and we have a great guest. I don't know if you know about it, but our guest, his name is Chris Gonzalez, and he's with the company that basically it's called, I believe it's called Neo Reach, but I'll ask him when he's on the show. My understanding is he does something called influencer marketing, and without further ado, Chris, are you there?
Great. Hey, Peter. Pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. So my first question is, before we get into your background and all the information and the 1,000 of questions that Patty's going to ask you.
Well, before we even go there, let me remind everyone that we are Facebook Live, so please jump on and ask questions. I have a feeling this is going to be a great topic with lots of questions. So jump on there, ask questions, and we'll do our best to respond.
Well, and especially since we're on Facebook Live, I'll have to hire a makeup person next time, so I'm totally covered.
Just wave to the camera.
Hello! So, Chris, the first question is, you're in a business called influencer marketing or advertising, and, I know what that means, but I don't think most of our listeners and most people have ever heard of that, so can you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, definitely. And, thanks again for you guys having me on the show. Really excited to be here and really excited to talk to the audience a little bit more about what influencer marketing is. But essentially, it's a little bit, it sounds like it's becoming a little bit more of a buzzword these days. And essentially what it is it's about getting regular, everyday people or people that have a reach on social media of some size excited about your product or service and to talk about what you're doing online. essentially it's consumer advocacy at the most granular level, and it's about getting people excited about what you're working on, whether it's a product or service, and having a conversation about that, whether it be on social media or primarily digital channels. It's more of a digital form of what used to be called endorsements.
So it essentially is just standardized advertising just on the web, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it really started off in around '08, but it's really with mommy bloggers. And Walmart was the first to really do a lot of stuff around pushing mommy bloggers with some of their stuff that they were doing with their campaigns. But it's sort of really grown over the years and become more mature to incorporate a wider array of people from across niches and subject matters. So you'll have individuals that maybe are foodies or fashionistas talking about products and services online. And now what we're seeing really over the last 12 months and 24 months is companies popping up that are trying to standardize that process through the use of technology. One of the primary things about influencer marketing is coordinating with individuals online in general, and just coordinating and managing humans in general is pretty time intensive, and you're starting to see softwares and solutions develop that are actually helping standardize that process and actually make it a little easier for any size company to jump in and start working with individuals online to talk about their product or service.
So for lack of better words, it's sort of public relations on steroids?
It is. It can be, yeah, definitely. And it's about, and except you get to really pick the people that you want to work with, and that's the main benefit. Is it's typically a brand or a business owner reaching out to an individual or several individuals, and really connecting with them based off of who they're looking to get endorsed by. So certain people tend to endorse certain products. Better or more relevant than others. I'm sure if I was promoting a lipstick or an eyeliner for a fashion brand, it may not necessarily be as impactful or resonate with my audience as say someone that was between 18 and 24-year-old female, for instance. So it's really starting to get more granular, and getting the message with the right audience is really the name of the game.
Now, can you dig down and get hey, listen, I want to target, like for instance, Facebook, right? With Facebook, I can target 25 to 38-year-olds who are coin collectors in Austin, Texas, and also play the flute. You can do that on Facebook. Can you really dig down on this type of stuff, or is it just more broad-based?
Perfect, yes. And so people who run Facebook ads may be used to the wealth of information that Facebook provides, or really most social media networks provide when they're buying an advertisement on that platform. And they're usually used and accustomed to be able to target individuals by, say, demographics like age, and interest and behaviors online, so like what types of pages they've liked and everything else. Well, with influencer marketing, it kind of proved this challenge where how do I go and segment individuals across these social networks that have the types of demographics, likes, interests, and behaviors that are relevant with my product or service. And that's kind of what we were really working on with NearReach, was developing software that was going to allow us to not only find those individuals who are on social between a certain follower count or size, which we'll get to in just a sec, but also do they answer the question of who follows that person on social media, and what are their demographics and likes, interests, and behaviors look like from an audience standpoint. Because it's really about getting the right message placed in front of the right audience, in addition to working with the right influencer to promote and create that message.
Well, let's take a step back. So how did you decide to get into influencer marketing and create this software? What happened? Was there a life-changing event, or was it just...
Yeah, definitely. That's a funny question. I'm glad you actually brought that up. The reason why is, rewind back to 2015. I graduated college in 2014. Had worked on a couple different startups, but like a classic millennial, I'm 26. I wanted to get that work-life balance where I could kind of do the things that I was passionate about, but still get an income online. We started looking into blogging, and I was with my other two co-founders, Dean Thomas and Chico Torado, and we were looking at blogging online. And what we basically found out, because we wanted to write blogs and make money from our blogs, was you had to have too much traffic to actually monetize anything that would be sustainable. So we started looking. My friend Dean at the time had a big Instagram account where he was posting about travel-related things, and he had this really passionate travel following that was like commenting on his photos and really engaged with his story online. And then we decided, look, why can't we monetize our Instagram accounts just like we monetize a blog? And when we started thinking about that, we looked into what was available in the market at the time of companies that were doing that, and they're few and far between. But one of the biggest points is that no one would work with you unless you had 10,000 followers. It was a sort of an arbitrary number at the time, but it was like anyone that had less than 10,000 followers couldn't do it. And we were all new to like putting stuff online and building online communities, and we didn't have 10,000 followers. So what did? We created a company and a marketing platform and technology that allowed advertisers to connect with individuals who had less than 10,000 followers, and that's kind of how we coined and really took this idea of micro-influencer marketing to market, was working with the everyday person online that was just like us. And that's kind of what our software was really trying to do, is to connect advertisers with individuals on social media.
I have to say, I love the comment. He's 26 years old, and he wants to have that work-life balance. To have that aha at 26 is a beautiful thing, because most people are much older and they realize, I need my work-life balance. Life is just out of sync. So, Chris, in listening to you, what's going through my head is a lot of things that I did years and years ago when it came to growing your database list. And like we all heard, our list is our gold mine. And I hear you, 10,000 followers, and I get that. And a lot of the things that we used to hear about is joint ventures and affiliate marketing. Is that anything tied to what you're doing, or is this just completely a separate game?
Yeah. So, affiliate marketing is, in a sense, referral. It's like a referral type base of marketing, and
right.
So in a lot of ways it does parallel with influencer marketing. The main difference being is typically an affiliate is somebody who's promoting a specific product online and then is usually getting paid from the sales that product was able to make through the traffic that they were able to generate through their channel. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big difference from an influencer standpoint or an awareness standpoint, when we see individuals on social media creating, promoting, and distributing content and in itself, with not necessarily a strong, hey, buy this now, or this is for sale, and we're really driving brand awareness. Those individuals are being compensated typically just for an awareness standpoint, from the reach that they're able to have versus being it so performance driven, or as what we call in the industry, or like sales driven approach is typically where you see an affiliate play. Also, I think the brands tend to have, and businesses tend to want more control when they are doing awareness type marketing, whereas affiliates, it can kind of vary on a spectrum, but typically there's a little bit more loose guidelines on how that product is promoted online, whereas with influencers it's much more curated. You're looking for much more of a certain look or a certain type of what we call user generated content, or a piece of content that an individual would make online. That's where I think a main differentiation in those two points, but they are very similar in working with online communities to promote products or services.
Can you go over, you mentioned micro before, and not everyone understands the difference between micro and macro, especially as it comes to influencer marketing. So can you explain what micro is, what macro is, and the differences between the two?
Yeah, definitely. And this kind of comes to something that we've been working on for about a few months now. I'm really excited to talk about. NearReach actually just recently acquired a company that I created called NAC. NAC App was our organization, and NearReach actually just acquired that company. We've been working on it for a few months now, and it's really with the primary intent of expanding into what we're calling micro-influencer marketing. And what that is just working with the everyday individual. Sometimes we draw a line in the sand and say, look, they have to have 10,000 followers or less, but it's typically not that black and white. The real thing is finding just anyone who is at least the average everyday person, but figuring out what their what can they speak to? Like if people in my family, like my parents or my sister, might ask me a question about marketing, so if I promote some type of marketing product, I'm the right person for that. Whereas you, Peter, I know you're heavy in law, and you're kind of come from that law background, so if someone was to say promote some type of law-related product or something to there, you would be able to speak within your network regardless of how much followers you had, you have a lot of influence pound for pound. And so what micro-influencer marketing is finding those individuals, segmenting about what they're really good at and what they can speak to, and then getting that out to the brands and advertisers so they can find the right people to promote whatever they're promoting based off kind of what we're competent in within our individual social networks. Typically, we have the strongest influences with people, about 150 people in our lives. That tends to be about the cranial capacity to have a really good connection with people, and so that's really what we're tapping into is that primal 150 when we talk about micro-influencer marketing or doing key messaging and key brand placement with individuals or everyday people on social media. And that was something that NearReach was really looking to expand into, and that's kind of why we had the real opportunity to collaborate together and take things to the next steps. And one of the other things I'm really excited to kind of hit on with micro-influencer marketing is now that we're moving into 2018, NearReach really has this ability to take this to scale. I think that was the biggest problem that we wanted to solve from a technology standpoint. So if you can go actually on nearreach.com right now and actually see that there's over 3 million influencers in their network. And so what we're able to do is combine forces and offer a full spectrum of people, whether they be micro or maybe you have a bigger online community that you want to tap into. That it's about building the technology to scale that infrastructure and make it more available for the bite-sized pieces that brands and advertisers need, regardless of if you're a Fortune 500 company or you're just an everyday small business. It can kind of really vary, but it's about making it more accessible. And that's one of the biggest challenges to solve when it comes to micro-influencer marketing, just because of the sheer volume of data and information. It's really challenging.
Wow, that's amazing. We're listening to KHTS 1220 on our AM dial, 98.1 on your FM dial. We're speaking to Chris Gonzalez. So you went over micro, and but I didn't hear anything about macro, other than the fact that maybe over 10,000 would be considered macro. But that's only a number, as you stated with the micro. So go beyond the what are the elements of macro, and what is the differences between macro and micro?
Yeah, definitely. So micro is pretty simple, everyday individual, social media. Macro, you're really looking at that professional content creator. Typically, they might have they might be officially endorsed or verified by a social network. If you ever seen a blue check on Facebook or on Twitter, or if you're looking at people that are in the YouTube's creator programs, those are typically more professional content creators. A macro influencer is typically someone that has tens of thousands, hundreds, or even millions of followers on one social network in particular, or a combined reach across multiple social networks. And they're typically specializing in something of a specific vertical, whether it be humor, whether it be food or cooking or makeup reviews. And there's much more specialization, whereas at the micro level, you're really looking at, this is just an everyday person, and this is how they're using their social feed, and they happen to use a product or service in their everyday. Whereas with the professional content creators, you're doing much more what's called native brand placement, and you're doing much more collaboration, and it's typically at the hundreds of thousands or millions when you're talking about reach and audience size at the macro level.
Chris, we have about 2 minutes before we got to go commercial break. So really quickly, who is your typical end user as far as the type of business? Is it more of a doctor, lawyer, CPA? Is it a only online? Like you mentioned the blogging world. Who is your typical end user, and how can you go? And this might have to take further conversation past the break. But think about sharing the details of how you go deep with that particular client. So is there?
Right,
let's start with who's your initial typical end user?
Right. So I'd like to say everybody should be doing influencer marketing, and every business should be into some type of advocacy or user-generated content. But primarily what we see starting off in the earlier years, it was really Fortune 500 companies and large enterprise, typically because they're the first movers when it comes to experimental ad products. Now that influencer marketing has become more solidified, really over the last 24 months and 12 months, especially in 2017, we saw over over 100% jump in adoption from a variety of different businesses. We're seeing much more of the small, medium business segments jumping into the space. So your everyday mom and pop type places, restaurants, retail outlets, they're kind of coming in simply because the technology is catching up now to make it more accessible, whereas it used to cost $20, $30, $50, $100,000 to run an influencer campaign because of the staffing requirements and labor needs. We're now seeing more small, medium businesses jumping into the mix at $300, $400 a month because technology is making it more accessible. And that's really what we're trying to solve at NearReach, is making it more accessible to as many businesses as possible, because we really believe in the power of user-generated advertising.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. We're going to be right back with you. We want to get a little bit more detail. We want to be a little bit more education-oriented towards helping small business owners. We'll be right back.
Come join me, Arif Halby, for Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Every Tuesday at noon, we uncover ways to help you manage your money, get out of debt, and prepare for your retirement. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Are you not sure if you can retire yet? Listen to us and learn about tips for savings, retirement strategies, and so much more. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station, KHTS.
When you're looking for a midnight snack, sometimes fast food just doesn't cut it. Formerly Donut Inn, California Bakery and Cafe is now open 24/7, so you'll be able to find fresh donuts, danishes, bagels, all-natural fruit juices, gourmet sandwiches, and much more at any hour. With elaborate cakes for any occasion, including weddings, baptisms, anniversaries, corporate events, or any special event. California Bakery and Cafe in Santa Clarita is open 24 hours to satisfy any craving, anytime. Call us, 255-1254.
Cancer is unpredictable. You need a cancer center that's several steps ahead. For over a century, City of Hope has been advancing science that saves lives. From 4 of the top cancer-fighting drugs to stem cell transplants with unparalleled survival rates. Rather than just heal the body, City of Hope helps you re-become the person you were before cancer. City of Hope has 15 locations throughout Los Angeles. For the location nearest you, visit cityofhope.org.
In Santa Clarita, we always find a way to be generous to the community. We give time, money, muscle, ideas, whatever we can, when we can. But without careful planning, such generosity can quickly drain the bank.
At Thrivent Financial, Jeff and Melanie Meyer do more than help you manage your finances. They help you plan for a generous lifestyle so you have enough for yourself and enough to share. Take the first step toward a generous financial future. Call Jeff and Melanie Meyer at 661-799-0230. That's 799-0230.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Whether it's getting your degree, brushing up on your skills to get to the next level at work, or taking free college courses while in high school, College of the Canyons wants you to start your finish. COC offers classes in Valencia, Canyon Country, and online. Registration is going on now for the spring semester, which begins February 5th. Whatever your goals, COC can get you there. Visit canyons.edu today.
Buying your home can sometimes be challenging. That's why Charlene Gill with CSMC Mortgage is your Santa Clarita mortgage expert. What's important to you is to secure a loan at the best possible rate, to have a professional guide you through the process, and to close on time. Charlene's 23 years in the mortgage industry and her personal expert knowledge in the Santa Clarita Valley makes her your mortgage expert. Contact Charlene at hometownstation.com/Charlene. That's hometownstation.com/Charlene.
Hometown.
I wanted to let you know that I really appreciate the way you guys do what you do.
Your hometown station.
Welcome back. You know, that song motivates me, and I hope that song motivates all of our listeners. It's a great tune, and I hope that motivates everybody. We were talking to Chris Gonzalez, who has an excellent company involved in influencer marketing. We went over what that meant in the first half hour. And my question now is, how can I, as a business owner, use that to monetize or make me more successful?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. So if you're a small, medium business owner, let's say single locations or maybe 1 to 5 locations, I think, and you're just getting into influencer marketing and user-generated content for the first time, what I would do first is I'd take a look at my pre-existing customers, and then I would try to identify and find my customers and see if they are online, and then actually reach out and connect with them. There's several ways you can connect with individuals. It could be on email, it could be on Facebook Messenger, direct message from Instagram. However you want to reach out to those individuals, you should connect with your current customers and see if that's a really good place to start with a real pre-existing network of people that already are familiar with your product or service. One of the biggest challenges I think small, medium brands will have and do have on with influencer marketing is people may not be familiar with them, so they may not understand product quality or where it's coming from or is it fair trade, different nuances like that, which will basically make it harder to have individuals endorse you online. But if they're a pre-existing customer, it's a little easier to do that because they're more familiar with you. Having said that, if I would run a couple campaigns and I would write some key instructions, hey, I have a pair of sunglasses. I'm a sunglass company. I'd like to send you a pair of sunglasses. Tell me what you think and maybe post about your experience online. Something very simple like that to promote my product. And then as I gain momentum and if I found that was working for me or I saw an increase in sales when I was running an influencer campaign, I'd consider actually getting a dedicated solution for that or a piece of software that would essentially help automate some of those tasks, because even just running a campaign with, say, 10 influencers to actually endorse a product on one or two channels can be up to 20, 25 hours of work. And so if depending on how frequent you're running these campaigns, considering something that's going to help you speed that process up might be the next step, but that's really where I would start, is take a look at pre-existing customers and kind of work that way.
So basically with that pre-existing customer, you're going to define who your potential additional customers are, and then from there go after those influencers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would work backwards and say, okay, who's buying what I'm selling, and what from a demographic, likes, interest, behavior standpoint, and just like as an individual person, we call them buyer personas, and I would develop a buyer persona for who's actually buying my product. And then if you actually want to become more granular and look for someone who's not necessarily one of your customers and to give them your product to talk about on social, you can use solutions, and you can use solutions like NearReach. That's one of the core things we do, where we'll search that person on our database and network, and then we'll actually index who follows them from an audience network standpoint. And so then we'll see the types of people who follow that person on social media, and we'll also take a look at that individual's location and demographics information, and then essentially you kind of qualify them that way, or you basically say this person will work for my brand, and then essentially you can outreach to them accordingly and kind of place your key messaging that way.
So if someone's considering a print ad or advertising, taking out something in the magazine or whatnot, I'm going to assume that what you're doing and you're discussing here is far more effective, because you're dialing in your specific demographic. You're going deep with that person. You're not just throwing this major blanket out there like a billboard. Is that a fair statement?
Right. Right, and I have a term for that. I just call it advertising waste. You want to make every single dollar stretch, especially if you're a small business. And let's say you have $1,000 a month that you're advertising, or even $500. Spending too much or overpaying for one channel, which we're calling print in this case, might not be a good use of resources. So I encourage small, medium businesses and small business owners to explore the channels that are going to work for them the most, and that are going to allow them to acquire their customers as effectively and as affordably as possible. And typically, that's a digital channel. And typically, what we see is since influencers have more pull with their pre-existing network, we see a lift, or you can acquire more customers cheaply with one influencer post or campaign than, say, running 10 print ads or a couple of 3 or 4 different Facebook ads to see who's really going to bite. Versus an individual creating a post and pushing it out to their network, you typically will get more inquiries, higher click-throughs, and more people kind of coming to your website to see what you're all about and are more apt to buy. And I think that's the name of the game, is finding your audience that's primed to purchase, because that ultimately will stretch your ad dollar further. And I think that's another reason why we've seen such a spike in influencer marketing over the last 12, 24 months, is because people are realizing that it's cheaper and more effective to acquire customers through this way than, say, some of the more traditional channels like print or outdoor or some stuff like that.
Well, so here's the question, though. As the influencer marketing becomes more popular and more effective, then the influencers are going to be inundated with numerous people trying to get their sunglasses, get the paint, get whatever product and service. And at some point, they're going to be overwhelmed, and they're going to have to pick and choose what they're going to do. So it sounds to me like right now, this is more of the beginning process, and people are not yet inundated. But at some point in time, is there a fear of saturation? Is there a fear that, well, you're not going to be able to reach those influences in 5 years from now because everyone's going to be doing it and everyone's going to be hitting them up? They got 25 different pairs of sunglasses, and are they going to have the time to sit down and say, hey, this is a great pair of sunglasses, got 25?
I think you can see some saturation occurring right now on the bigger side with the bigger influencers. With people that have those bigger networks, they're typically the more go-tos, and they'll kind of get more brands and offers. I think that's what micro-influencer marketing really has to offer, is opening it up to the masses. And the other part of that is you will see some saturation, I think, occur over time. But because of the fragmentation that's in the industry, everything is so industry-specific and user-specific that there's so many different types of products out there. Seems like there's a community for everyone. It seems like, whether it's cars or it's travel, there's so many different types of communities out there. And I think it's that fragmentation and the fact that we're seeing it expand into the everyday person will really take a longer time to hit that saturation point. But then I think it ultimately comes back to, are you selling a product that people want and want to buy and that actually really works? I think if you have something that's special, that's innovative, and that really works and is selling well and is an effective product, I think people will gravitate to that naturally. And the other thing I think that on that point is, we'll also say, okay, a lot of people will say influencers will just endorse anything because they're getting paid with cash or a free product to endorse that, and it will become less authentic over time. And the answer to that is, it kind of depends. I've seen, from my experience running hundreds of campaigns and also working with our really seasoned team as well, we've ran hundreds of campaigns, my colleague Brien especially, we've seen individuals on social media pick and choose and being a lot more choosy about what they're endorsing, and especially at the micro level, they're much more does this product or service align with my individual values? We've had use cases in before where a product may not have worked the way it should have, or you think about the outrage of SeaWorld they had after the Blackfish documentary. There was a lot of people that were really outraged at SeaWorld as a brand. So typically, if a brand or a product or service isn't aligning with the use that individual's use case, that person will say no, even though there is compensation there. And what's causing that, and I think a lot of people miss, is what's called social accountability. I think when we go into our small networks, or if I try to go to my mom and say, okay, all of a sudden I'm a real estate agent, Mom, and I'm talking about real estate, she's going to call me out on that and say, no, you're not a real estate, you're a tech guy, you're into technology, you're a tech guy. And so I think it's that social accountability that people know who they're following and who their friends are, and people can usually smell it, or they're usually pretty perceptive if someone's being inauthentic. And I think it's that level of social accountability that will kind of stem some of this saturation and I think some of the notion that influencer marketing will become less effective over time. I think people will just be more choosy, and I think the brands and products that are looking to get those endorsements are going to have to be much more selective about who they're going after, and making sure that the product aligns with the individual, but also brand values and what the company's bringing to the table.
You're listening to KHTS 1220 on your AM dial, 98.1 FM. I have one more questions. I'm going to have my co-host ask you some questions. I want you to go through an example. So let's say I have a small shop, I don't know, income tax preparation, I don't know, something, anything. How is somebody, I want you to go through an example, what they're going to do. They're going to buy your software, maybe offer a free trial, and then how are they going to go ahead and contact potential people and actually give us your plan for a campaign for someone like that.
Sure, yeah. So let's take that kind of H&R Block type tax example, and then let's say we have an April 15th deadline that's coming up, and we want to start planning for that. So usually 90 days before your target launch date of your campaign, in this case we're going to do a big April 15th tax push for our H&R Block business. We'll start planning about 90 days out from that campaign. You're going to basically get to a piece of software like NearReach, and you'll basically go to our website. You'll sign up with an account, and you'll work with our team essentially to actually sign up with the account. You get onto our software, and then that allows you to do three things. Search for influencers, so I can find the right person by location, audience demographics, individual influencer demographics, profile size, interests and behaviors to make sure you're finding the right person, and then you're going to manage them through like what typically is a 3 to 5 step process. Are they approved to work on this campaign? Have they been briefed with the instructions? So I want them to talk about promoting my tax services starting on April 15th for 2 weeks, and I want them to make 2 posts on Instagram. And then have they acknowledged those instructions are clear and they understand them? And then the next one is, have they posted that? Is that post live? And then the next point is, what was the effect of that post, and has that influencer been compensated? That's typically the management side of that, and then there's the tracking side of that component. So using a tool like NearReach to not only manage them through a workflow process of approving content and approving the influencer, but now all of a sudden we're looking at how that specific post performed online or performed on that social network. How many people saw that post? And who saw it, essentially. So we can make sure that we're placing the right message in front of the right audience. And then essentially it's just iterating that process over time and getting more effective, using the tool to find more influencers that are fitting exactly who you're looking for, and then using the tracking tools to say, hey, is what I'm doing working? And typically you'll rerunning a campaign, an active campaign, for 30 days, typically a month you might run them. They'll range. It depends on your budget and size. But an average campaign could be 10 to 20 influencers that are talking about your product or service for 30 days, and they'll be promoting your tax services, let's say, and then you're going to start that on April 15th. And that's kind of how you manage that whole process, which is before solutions like NearReach came through, it was typically done on a spreadsheet. You were writing the person's first name, their email, their PayPal to bill them, and then you have little, did they post, yes or no? So that's kind of what we've eliminated. And then the other part is like bringing everyone out of the dark. So before, it was just a post that went live on Instagram, or it was a post that went live on Facebook, but it's like, what happened, who saw it, and why does that matter? And so having insights in a tool to help you measure those things is really where the technology component comes in to make sure your influencer marketing is effective over time. So it's typically a 3-month process to plan these campaigns, but you can run them faster than that. That's just best practice.
So for somebody who, small business owners oftentimes have very, limited bandwidth with regards to the marketing piece because they're just so busy working on their business. It's hard to work in the business, and they don't have time for this. Do you have, as part of your service, somebody who can just do this for them, and it's not more of a do-it-yourself, but you just take it from start to finish and track it, and you just report back?
Yeah, that is a very good question, and is very representative of this industry because influencer marketing is so new. When you talk about a self-service solution like NearReach that you would pay monthly for from a subscription standpoint to run and manage these campaigns, there's a level of expertise that's required. It's not too high, but you need to be a little bit more familiar with what you want to accomplish. Now, we do have services. It's a consulting service team that is an excellent team that will help advertisers compile these campaigns and run them. But we also work with a variety of different individuals that are might be third parties or like an agency, for instance, where we have really close-knit ties with them that can assist and support them. The answer comes down to how many influencers do they want to run, what the campaign timeline's like, and we'll basically get them set up with the right person, whether it's internal or external, depending on campaign requirements, really. But it's usually pretty easy. And the other part of that is what we're starting to see is more and more people are getting more savvy, and then I think also doing things that are like being available to answer questions, and usually most people can do it on their own if you just have someone that you can email and answer questions. So we totally have a team, it's a customer success team, where we're basically working with individuals who are using our software to making sure they're getting the most out of it. So it's kind of a combination of those things to really answer that specific question.
Yeah, that's great. I know some small business owners that just are, they're overwhelmed with trying to stay abreast of just social media in itself. We'll take, just Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and just trying to stay on social media and trying to stay out there and bring value to, clients and listeners and followers. And, it's almost like a full-time job in itself, just trying to manage all that, let alone running their business. So this sounds like a great option. I don't want to get into costs or expenses or anything of that nature because I know it can vary. But is it safe to say that the overall package of this is far more competitive than taking out an ad in a magazine and or a billboard or any other type of print things that we spoke of earlier?
Yeah, and I mean, yes, it typically is, but also that's a relative question to the person that's executing the campaign. You might have outdoor placements that'll work better than a Facebook ad, depending on your industry, buyers, segments, and how the creative on the ad itself. Now, what we have seen is our product starts at $3.99. That's kind of the monthly price to jump into it, and then that typically represents 20 to 30% of an individual's budget. The rest of that remaining budget is being spent on working with individuals either with a product in kind, so I'm going to trade them a product for a post, or which costs the brand money or the business money, or I'm actually going to pay this individual to make this post about my product or service that again costs money. It depends on what you've negotiated with those influencers and what their reaches are and how effective those individuals are online. I will also say one of the primary reasons why influencer marketing has a lower cost per acquisition when you talk about how cheap it is to essentially acquire a customer is because of the fact that these individuals know their audience really well, and they can create content that's already designed to resonate with their target audience. And so that basically will remove a lot of the guesswork for the brands, and that's typically why these user-generated content will perform better, because it's authentic and it's actually really custom creative for that particular audience network, for that particular individual. And it's all those things and all those variables combined that really make for a more effective advertisement down to who it's coming from, what it says, and then ultimately what the product is.
I don't mean to interrupt. If you can just hold that thought, we're going to be right back on a commercial break, and you can continue your conversation.
Lots of people can build websites, even your sister-in-law's cousin. But there's one Santa Clarita company that specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team are local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites, they'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
The stress was unbelievable.
Debbie Morris is a changed woman.
A giant boulder's been lifted.
Debbie called Made for You.
I'd finished a day of work.
Professional, residential, and commercial cleaning.
Walk into my house.
Made for You.
It was an absolute pigsty.
Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or even one-time seasonal cleaning.
Our mess kept growing.
255-2922.
Even when we weren't home.
255-2922.
Made for You rescued me.
Genghis Khan Mongolian Barbecue and Chinese Buffet. Healthy vegetables and lean meats. A low-carb treat. Create your own bowls with our delicious meats and always fresh vegetables. Then, blend in your own secret sauce. Feast at the all-you-can-eat buffet and barbecue for the same low price. A local favorite for over 25 years, Genghis Khan is still located on Lyons Avenue just east of the I-5. Enter between the Chevron and Shell gas stations. Come and see us soon at Genghis Khan.
Buying your home can sometimes be challenging. That's why Charlene Gill with CSMC Mortgage is your Santa Clarita mortgage expert. What's important to you is to secure a loan at the best possible rate, to have a professional guide you through the process, and to close on time. Charlene's 23 years in the mortgage industry and her personal expert knowledge in the Santa Clarita Valley makes her your mortgage expert. Contact Charlene at hometownstation.com/Charlene. That's hometownstation.com/Charlene.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
City of Hope is a leader in cancer research and treatment, and there's a City of Hope location right here in Santa Clarita, eliminating a major barrier in the fight against cancer: distance to quality care. Santa Clarita has the advantages of City of Hope's renowned clinical expertise, compassionate care, and access to clinical trials. Find out more at cityofhope.org/Santa Clarita or call 661-799-1999.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back. We have a wonderful, wonderful guest, Chris. And Chris is heavy into influencer marketing. Influencer marketing, if you're just joining us right now, basically you're finding people on the internet that have users and have followers that you can get them to actually offer and sell your service or product for you on the internet, similar to endorsements but slightly different. And we were talking to Chris, and as we left, I think Patty had a question.
Well, we were talking about just the fact that it's such an awesome bullseye marketing type program. What was the question I had? I forgot what we were talking about offline. Oh my gosh, my brain.
Well, okay. Well, so
we were talking about a few things.
Well, let's go over the main thing here, okay? Half of our listeners probably are online. Half have a website, but they've got their own store, their own retail operation. So mechanically, how is somebody going to use your service to increase their sales?
So what are the mechanics?
Perfect,
I guess is the mechanics of it.
All right, so I mean, we'll just cut right to the chase and jump into the meat and potatoes. The main thing is a lot of business owners, when they're first starting into influencer marketing, they're asking themselves, well, where do I find those people? You know, how do I get connected with them? I can't just go search across all these social networks to find people who might work for me. And so primarily when you sign up with NearReach and you hop into our software, we have a massive database of over 3 million individuals across different genres, networks, and everything like that. So what we'll allow you to do is essentially segment those people or click search filters to find the individuals that you might be looking for. And then what we kind of do is spoon feed you that information and say, here's this person that fits what you're looking for from, let's say you're looking for an 18 to 24-year-old male. You can select those criteria in our database, and then we'll show you every person who's an 18 to 24-year-old male. And then you might want to apply a location filter because I'm a small business, and then let's say I sell in Austin, Texas. You say, okay, I want to find 18 to 24-year-old men who sell or who are located in Austin, Texas, and also have audiences who are located in Austin, Texas. Our software essentially will allow you to do that when you click in your search criteria and type in your location, and then we'll give you a whole host of those people. Then what we allow you to do is create what's called a list. So you put together a list of individuals that will meet your target criteria, and then we also include their email address. So that will allow you to essentially contact those individuals and reach out to them and say, hey, I'm a business in Austin. I'd like to connect with you. I saw you on Instagram, or I saw you on Facebook or on YouTube, and I want you to actually create a social media post about my business, and I'd like for you to do that. And then once you connect with them and they actually create that post, you'll use our software to track how that post performed on that social network. So you'll use the post URL, and we'll put it into our software, and we'll essentially say, this is how many people saw that individual's post. Because if someone's saying, we're going to reach 1 million people, it's going to be great, you give them their sunglasses, they make their post, did it really reach 1 million people? That's kind of where you use our tracking software. So it's a full-service solution to help you find those individuals, manage them through that negotiation process, and then track how that individual's post performed for your brand.
That's awesome. We're looking at your website right now. So for those listening, it's NeoReach, N-E-O-Reach, REACH.com.
And I see you have some small clients. I saw
Yeah.
Walmart,
Amazon,
Airbnb. So,
yeah,
you know,
Airbnb.
you're dealing with the small guys, right?
Yeah.
Well, those are the most prolific campaigns that we've really ran, and we have excellent case studies on those. But I can tell you, I'm on the day-to-day side of stuff here, and we're also working with a ton of small businesses and medium businesses as well. So it's really full spectrum. And now with NeoReach expanding into micro-influencer marketing, especially in our database, we're going to have more micro-influencers and more macro-influencers. We're really opening up the floodgates to let everyone come in, and we're really working hard to develop technology to make it more accessible to the everyday person. But like I said, it all comes down to how frequent you want to run these campaigns, how big you'd like to get them, and how many people you want to work with, and kind of what your budget's like for marketing. Because I think influencer marketing is almost always a slice of a bigger pie. What else are you doing across the board?
So if somebody from our show, one of our listeners wants to get involved and sign up for this, what do they do? NeoReach, is that correct?
Yeah, and actually we got a little something special for the show. If any of the listeners want to go to neoreach.com, submit the form there, and then actually reply back to us and mention the show, what we can actually do for them is help them create a list. We'll give them 10 influencers that will work for their product or service. It'll be curated for them, and that'll really help them kickstart their influencer marketing. So you can take your list and you can email them. You know exactly who those people are, and they'll work for your brand. And you can kind of take that as like a little gift for being on the listening to the show.
That's awesome. So we've got about a minute left. Tell us how we can reach you. Is there a phone number? I know we got the website we've mentioned, but is there a phone number or their email? Any other way that people could reach you directly?
Yeah, so the phone number is 877-972-2299. You can go to neoreach.com. And if your listeners can get that, you can also email me at chris@neoreach.com. That'll go right to my inbox, and I want to help everybody out on their influencer marketing. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me and connect. And really, we're here to be a resource and help grow the entire industry.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris, so much. What a great show. We appreciate you being on with us, and we are out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.